Take it away. The Hartstone family. You know who they are?
I can't quite see the picture.
The Hartstone family. Do you know who they are?
Oh, not from here.
No, I'm not showing you a picture. He's telling a story.
It's on the service.
He's telling a story of the Hartstone family.
Yeah, okay. Well, I know who they are, but where'd you come up with?
So the Hartstones came from Hungary. Their name was Hartstein. And they came over in...
Hello?
Hi. What did you think?
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know what you two brought in, but it's getting catchy and funny in here. They're either going under or over.
The Hartsteins came from Hungary, outside of Budapest.
Who's that you're looking at?
I'm recording Joel telling the story of the Hartensteins.
In 1884.
Do you want to come closer so you can hear? Oh.
Sugar, coffee, and tea.
So my grandmother was 9 years old.
Grandma who?
My grandmother Flashman, who was named
Sarah.
Dora. Dora Hartenstein.
This is my brother talking to. Something. Yeah, but it's hard with that.
All right, I'm recording now, so shh. Go ahead.
So Dora was 9 years old. She was the first child, and she had a brother whose name at that time was Isaac.
And they were born in Hungary.
And they came over in steerage with their grandmother, who was Haya, after whom my sister is named. Got that?
You're named after Haya.
Haya Shani.
Go.
They came in steerage, as I said, and the trip was so rough that my great-grandfather, Elias Hartstone, he got very, very sick, what we would call seasickness. And his wife, my great-grandmother, thought he was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And she started cavilling because if a person dies on ship, they have to be tossed overboard. And that's against the Jewish religion. So that was a terrible concern. But he made it, and he lived to be 94.
Wow.
He outlived everybody.
I never knew that story.
And they settled in Boston, and he was a glazer. You know, he put up window panes.
Okay.
And there again, they had 5 children in America. So their children are first generation, but my grandmother and Walter were born in Hungary.
Oh, okay.
Notice I've...
Excuse me.
Okay.
So my grandmother, being only 9 years old, she was able to she went to high school. And her parents, as I said, went on and had 5 more children. And her brother, Isaac, he was a very good student. And he went to high school and he went to college, Boston University.
Mm-hmm.
And at those days, they used to read for the law. You didn't necessarily go to law school, but you would study. They'd give you a program, and you would study it with other students.
Okay.
Meanwhile, when he was 19, he got forget what it is, a gangrene, and they had to cut off his leg.
Oof.
So all our lifetime, he had a wooden leg.
Oh, wow.
It's important because then he's in law school, and he meets a woman who was 11 years older than he, and came from a very upper-class Jewish family. Her father had come from England through Canada, and her name was Pauline Nelson. Well, they spent all this time studying together, and they passed the bar, and this is around 1905, and he decides they will get married. Well, because she was, say, educated, came from an upper class family, he was worried that the family would not accept her. And she was older. She was 11 years old.
That his family would not accept her, not her family would not accept
Well, that
him.
hasn't come up. First of all, her father was dead, and she had a stepmother who was Gentile, Christian.
Oh.
So, the reason I bring it up, Walter went to my grandmother, his sister, and said, how am I going to tell Mama and Papa? And so my grandmother, who she had forced, she said, I'll take care of it. So she paved the way for the family to more or less accept her.
Mm.
But in the meantime, since she was such a educated, strong character,
You said she was the first woman lawyer?
not the first, she was one of the first women lawyers. And she was the president of the Women's Lawyers Association
In
at one time
Boston.
in Boston.
And he was at this point an estate planning attorney?
They together they opened up an office called Hartstone and Hartstone.
Oh,
And she
okay.
was in the office.
Uh-huh.
And they did every kind of law, but
Oh.
a lot of it was estate planning, because all
Uh-huh.
the family went to him for their estates
Okay.
and their wills. And property, he did property. He took care, when we bought our house, he was the lawyer, sort of like you.
Uh-huh.
And they had a very, I guess, prosperous partnership.
Yeah.
And they went ahead and they had 2 children. One was Nelson, was a year older than my father, and Leona was a year older than Helen. But of course, Pauline did not like the Jewish association of the family.
Oh.
So she said she made them change the name Hartenstein to Hartstone. She was not going to be called Pauline Hartenstein. She wanted an anglicized name.
Ah.
And in addition, she made all the brothers change their names.
How did she make them? Are you sure they didn't just want to?
Well, they acceded to it because they wanted to be Americans too.
Yeah, okay.
His name was Isaac. Isaac Hartstone doesn't work. So he changed his name to Walter. And then she had a son named Aaron. He changed his name to Harry.
Not the same Harry.
Then there was a brother named Abe. These are all Jewish names. He became Frank.
Oh, so all of them changed their names.
And the next brother, youngest
wow.
brother, was Sam. And he became Robert.
Wow.
She even had an influence in my father's name and my Uncle Herbert.
So Irving is not a Jewish name?
My grandmother wanted to name him Isidore, which was a very popular name among Jews. And Herbert was going to be Hyman. She said,
No way.
no way.
No way, Herbert.
So she said, you have to give them English names. And my father became, well, first was Herbert, he's older, and then my father was Irving. They're both British names. And they were last names originally. Herbert and Irving were last names.
Oh, wow.
Family names.
You knew that story?
What do you think? That's all the handwriting you can get on that piece of paper? I won't sleep for a month with what she's got there.
Meanwhile, she kept her distance from the family. And in our day, when I was a kid, any like weddings, bar mitzvahs, she never came.
Oh,
She never associated with the family.
wow.
And I only saw her Oh, the time we had bought our house, I guess my father had some papers, and we had to take them to his house, my uncle's house in Newton. And that was the only time I ever saw her.
Mm.
She wore long dresses. She was retired by then, and her son Nelson took over, and so he was Hartstone and Hartstone.
Mm.
And even another story is when my great grandmother died in 1927.
Doris?
Great grandmother, Rose Hartstone, Dora's mother.
Okay.
We're going to have a funeral, of course. She was only in her 70s.
Okay.
And at that time, a cousin of my father's, Muriel Wise, she had gone to paralegal school. She went to Smith College, and she was working for Walter in the office. And then Walter went to the home, the Shiva home, in Roxbury. And then when the funeral took place, the same day or later, she doesn't show up for the funeral. And he blamed Muriel, his cousin, because he assumed that Muriel would go get her and take her to the funeral. So he said,
That was her mother-in-law.
yes, her mother,
Yeah.
Pauline's mother.
Yeah.
So Walter he said, I'm in so much trouble already with the family, and now you've made it so much worse.
Yeah, that his own wife wouldn't go to his mother's funeral.
She was planning to go. She was waiting on the porch. Muriel's mother said to her, don't mix in.
Oh gosh, and didn't pick her up. Oh gosh, that's terrible. What a story.